Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode number 6 of the Raptors 2K podcast, brought to you by Uber Eats. I know it's been a minute, but we are back in the saddle. I got my boy Shane with me. Shane, talk to me, player. What you been up to?
Man, it's crazy we're only on episode 6. It's been too
Nuts.
long since we got back to do this, but I know the team's been busy. The Raptors Uprising have been up to a lot of things. They moved into a new facility. It's a whole new format for the NBA 2K League this year, but man, it feels like there's kind of too much to catch up on. But in the meantime, man, yeah, what I've been up to, I've been working with the guys over at AMP. So I think for those of you who don't know, I'm not with Raptors Uprising full time anymore, still staying on board as an advisor and doing things like this podcast with them, but full time I'm working with the brilliant creatives over at AMP. Just a hilarious group of guys. It's been a few months now. It's been a ton of fun. We just got back from a crazy road trip where we flew to LA, got in an RV, drove into the desert, and then ended up in Vegas where we were doing a flag football game versus FaZe Clan as part of a thing with the NFL, which we first did at Super Bowl, and then it went so well they wanted to bring us back and do it again at Draft. And proud to announce that we are now 2-0 in that series, so we've gotten both of the dubs over FaZe. But you too, man. I've seen you've been up to a lot of stuff. You're working with NRG behind the scenes, and I just saw you're a featured creator at the upcoming DreamHack. So yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you hit the nail right on the. You know what I really am up to? I'm waiting for an invite to one of those flag football games, but we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that down the road. Not worry about that. But yeah, man,
Well, you're
I
out
joined
there, so next
NRG.
time we're in LA, we're gonna hit you up. We'll bring you in.
Please do, please do. I love sports. You already know that. I mean, hell, we talk about it all the time. And but for me, yeah, NRG is just definitely the big move I've made. Had a lot of fun working with them, like both on and off the camera. Especially the most recent thing I'm excited for is I actually just watched Doctor Strange. So that kind of gives you an idea of the excitement levels in my life. But you know what? I'm living a good one so far, so I got no complaints, my man. I got no complaints.
I'm seeing the chatter on the timeline about Doctor Strange. It seems like the script is crazy and off the wall. I saw Doctor Disrespect's comment, and Davis, who's in AMP, he's a huge Marvel head. We're kind of battling a little bit right now because I was a big Marvel guy. I kind of feel like Marvel's fallen off. Maybe for me, and maybe I'm just
Ooh.
getting too old. Maybe I'm getting too old, but I love the new Batman. It's crazy because years ago, if you told me that Shane in 2022 would be saying DC over Marvel, I'd say you're
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like something drastic had to have happened. But I just
Right.
thought the new Batman was an absolute masterpiece, and I feel like the Marvel stuff is getting a little bit kind of played out for me.
You know what? That's fair. As you age and you mature, you kind of fall out of things, fall into new things. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. One thing that is consistent, though, is we always have a good time on this podcast. And I think that will hold true for our guests, whom we have coming up momentarily. But before that, Shane, we have to do it, man. What is the order for Uber Eats today?
Oh yeah, I forgot because it's been so long.
It's essential.
Uber treats us to lunch every time we do this podcast,
Yes,
and
sir.
as I always say, I'm an avid and regular user of Uber Eats anyway. We got to talk about the Uber Pass. You get the Uber Pass, you save money on every order, you get free delivery. It pays itself off multiple times over. It's also very smart because they got to get you to that minimum checkout, and so I know that there's some intentional strategy behind it. But hey, it works for me. I'm always looking at it. I'm like, hey, if I add one more dollar, I save $4. So it just makes sense that I'm going to go in like add a Gatorade to my order or
Yep.
something along those lines. I think today. So tomorrow I actually have an engagement party. I've been trying to be light on my
Oh,
feet this week, so I'm looking good for the photos. So I'm going to order a
dang.
salad from my favorite Mediterranean restaurant. I'm going to get myself a Greek salad with chicken. What about you?
I am gonna get these anti-gravity noodles. That this little Asian shop like 2 blocks away
I've
cooks.
never
It's
heard a more
crazy.
LA order than anti-gravity noodles. You know they're
I don't
just
know
putting
what's
that spin
happening
on
to
it.
me, Shane. I don't know what's happening. I don't like it, but damn it, I'm gonna embrace it. Okay, because that's where we are. That's
That
where we are.
sounds bougie. Sounds like some
It is.
bougie
It is a little
noodles.
bougie. It is a
Yeah,
little
we
bougie. So yeah, it's
we
good.
were talking before this. So you're a feature creator at upcoming DreamHack in Dallas. You mentioned it's your
Mm-hmm.
first time going to Dallas. I've done DreamHack in Austin and a couple other cities in the U.S. But I was telling you. So for those of you who don't know, DreamHack is this LAN event, like a BYOC, bring your own computer LAN event that started off in Sweden in a little town called Jönköping. It's basically like a university town. So for those of you from Toronto, think of like London, Ontario, right, where there's a lot going on, but it's not Toronto, right, and it's a little bit removed. You kind of drive quite a ways to get there. That would be the equivalent of Jönköping, and so Jönköping does not have the hotel infrastructure to support all of the thousands of people that go to DreamHack. I went there. I was working for a esports betting company called Unicorn, and we were there doing promotion. And all of a sudden, I walked in, and it was like, a fantasy for kid Shane, for young Shane. It's everyone is at it's these concourse halls, and it's this old building, right? Like it's kind of one of those things. Like if these walls could speak, you've got these exposed beam rafters, and the sort of like curved roofs, and they're like airport hangars. And I don't know how many of them there are, but it feels like there's at least like four of them. And every one has like a stage, and there's like live music performances, but then it's just rows and rows of thousands of kids sitting at their own stations with their own computers, and most of them get really really creative. They bring in like LED lights. I saw one group of kids, they brought in probably like 10 bean bags, and they kind of
Hmm.
arranged them in a way where they created like a bean bag igloo, and then they put a mattress inside, so it's like you're kind of gaming 24 hours a day, but whenever you want to take a break, one of them would go crash and have a nap inside of the igloo that they had created. So it's just this like magical awesome experience, and it's open 24/7, so it doesn't matter what time of night you go through there. And because there's so few hotels, most people choose to just literally sleep at their gaming station. So it's got this
Yes,
really
that's
magical
true.
vibe, and yeah, that's kind of what gave DreamHack its whole allure, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what's magical about not having a hotel sometimes though. All right, because yeah, listen, I need a shower every day, but that's just me. When you're in the thick of things with the gaming, I get it. Okay, I get it.
Like
I'm
you
not here
said,
to
when you
pass
get
judgment.
older, things start to change. But when you're a kid, your bones are rubber, and you can sleep on the floor and bounce up the next day and just put in another 12 hours of gaming.
That's what it is, man. But I mean, we're talking about putting hours into gaming. I think that's the perfect segue to our next point here for the podcast. Obviously, we like to talk to some interesting folks, and who better than some current members of the Raptors 2K roster? So, without further ado, Fanta and Saint, if you're on the line, would love to bring you in, brothers. How you feeling today?
What's
How
going
y'all
on? I'm
doing?
feeling great.
Yeah, long overdue, guys. Obviously, we would have loved to have done this before the season, and gotten a take on how boot camp is going and whatnot. But now here we are, more well into the season, and we have some results to look at. Shout out to the guys. You made the first land tournament in fives, and I know things were looking really good. And it was a first round exit. It was a round of 16 exit from that fives tournament, but you lost to the eventual second place team, right? So there's always a little bit of a silver lining in my mind when the team that you lose to ends up going all the way to the finals. And I can tell you more times than I can count, that's been the case for me with Raptors Uprising. Is if we had an early exit from the tournament, ended up being the champion, or at least the team that made it to the finals. And again, you don't want to see them win, you want to be in their shoes, but there's always a little bit of a silver lining there for you. So yeah, why don't you guys start off, just what's it been like being in Toronto and on Raptors Uprising here in this season?
For me, it's different. From the states, coming from I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I was in Minnesota for 2 seasons, but I actually like Toronto. Like the food, like the overall atmosphere and environment. I also love the organization. Like look out for us, make sure we got everything we need. So like, I couldn't like it even more.
On Toronto, have you been out? Have you experienced King Street yet?
Oh yeah, I've been out a few times. It's some nice. It's like nice nightlife, and I like it. It's overall, I like it. It's overall good. Like a good place.
You kind of nailed it for me. If I think about Toronto, being born and raised from here, it's like great nightlife, great sports city, great food. That's kind of what we're strongest in, I would
Oh
say, as a
yeah.
as
Great
a culture
food.
for a
I've been
state.
to Toronto. That food is mid. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
That's
He's
just me.
he's
you got it.
he's crazy. He hasn't
Yeah,
been to the right
yeah,
places.
yeah. That's all it is. That's what some guys will tell me. I'm like, oh, I got out here. I like the places I didn't, you know, I didn't have. So pretty
Oh,
much eat the
okay.
same
Well,
the same stuff.
I'm
So
I'm probably just not
yeah.
hip yet. I'm a little older too, so I get
Yeah,
on
hit
it.
me up
All
next time you're in town, Phil. We'll get you
right,
straight.
I
But I'm
got you.
telling you, it's because we're so multicultural. We have this like amazing pocket of Italian restaurants, amazing, whatever genre of culture of food you're looking for, Toronto's got it because we're such a multicultural city.
All right,
What about
that's
you,
fair. How
Fanta?
about you,
How's
Fanta? Yeah.
yeah.
How's Toronto?
Yeah, how's the start to the season been for
Oh,
you? We'll talk about
oh
in game
yeah,
after, but
oh yeah. So for me personally, I'm from San Francisco, California, so I'm like super used to the city life. So
Mm.
I feel like any other location for me would have been like super odd and felt off to me. But honestly, Toronto is like so fire that like the organization has us in beautiful apartments in Liberty Village, which is really a nice place in Toronto. So there's always things going on. People walking their dogs. If there's ever a game going on, you see everybody walking with their jerseys. Like the atmosphere of Toronto is just like kind of the most supportive atmosphere I've ever seen. They are diehard for their sports team. I'm talking hockey, even their football league, like everything. Don't even get me started on basketball. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, and that's all right kind of by where we live. So it's like every time there's something going on, like you can feel that something's going on. And I feel like the only thing I could really knock on Toronto is I miss the California weather more than anything. But
It's nice.
I did hear that it's warming up, and we got a little bit of the coldness, but it's about to warm up. So I can't wait for it to warm up because I've seen a couple nice days. Everybody gets outside. Everybody's outside. Like Saint said, the nightlife is great. We've been out a couple times. It's definitely super fun. But yeah, I just can't wait for during the day to just have a nice day and everybody's outside doing stuff.
Yeah, we get both extremes. It goes from incredibly cold to incredibly hot and humid in the middle of the summer. When it gets really hot and humid, I usually go on the weekends over to Ward's Island. It's just a little ferry across, shuttle across, and usually people are out there with their sea-doos, their jet skis and stuff, and it's a good place to just kind of hang out for the day on the beach. I know it seems strange to talk about beaches in Toronto, but we do actually have a couple of them,
I
and you
never
can
heard
get
of
in the
those
water
before.
out there. Yeah, I know. You would never expect it. And hey, shout out to the Raptors Uprising for the condo situation. That was something we've been talking about for years while I was there. The Bell Five House was this amazing strategic kind of game changer for us. It was great in the beginning, in the early days, especially when we had the whole like still trail crew, kind of living in the house. But over time, we started to realize that we had to put a really strong emphasis on how well people would fit together outside of the game. Not just chemistry in game, but outside of the game as well. And
Mm.
it started to eliminate some options, I think, as far as roster building goes. And I think like the whole industry kind of went through an evolution where it started off in gaming houses and then it's moved to more of a traditional kind of work life, balance model. And yeah, I mean, as you guys pointed out, Liberty Village is beautiful and those condos aren't cheap. So respect to the organization for stepping up and putting you guys in those things because it's a great place to live.
Oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
love the condos. Everything we need in them, like, and it's located right, like got everything you need, like grocery stores, food, anything.
Yeah, I
Has
mean,
Kenny
I would
got work showing you
imagine.
the ropes? Oh, go ahead, Phil.
No, I was gonna say I would imagine like convenience is like a big thing, especially since like the one thing for the league for me anyway, it's definitely it's changed a lot, right? Because I was on seasons 1 and 2, but like y'all just it seems like the majority or the bulk of like the competition now is just still online. Is it still like virtual studio or is it like more in person? Like how's the split this year?
This year, is different. Last year, it was virtual into the playoffs.
Mhm.
This year, it's kind of like a play in, and if you win, like so, the first tournament, which was tip off, it was you win in the play, you win your play-in games, like 4 games, 5 games, something like that. But you win those games, and then you go out to Indiana. It's a new facility, nice facility. That the league got. That's the central like hub for the league this year. Is in Indianapolis, but
Yep.
yeah. So if you win your playing games, you make it to it. We was able to get there in the tip off, and it's nice. It's nice overall, but it's you can tell they're trying to get back into some of the in person events and stuff. You just got to make it there.
Yeah, it seemed
I
like it was
love
kind of
the
like a qualifier. Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I love the dual stage setup they have. They got this really cool kind of one pod of five or one like cake top stage on one side and then another cake top stage on the other side. Super smart because now they're kind of staggering the games. So you've got two games going
Yeah.
simultaneously, but you don't have this like long turnover time, right? So it feels like they're kind of starting one game halfway through the other game, and it creates a good balance. I found the viewer experience from the tournament to be like better than ever. There was no time kind of waiting in between games for that turnover. So that's really cool. I don't know question actually, because this was on my mind when I saw the stage. Is there any kind of like noise pollution? Like, is there any issue with hearing the other game going on when like the team gets loud and you're kind of on your side?
Nah, so it's crazy because last year for the playoffs, that was the 1st year that they did the double stage, right? Like, one through one through one through two, like season 1 and 2, it was like one stage, right? For the
Yep,
most part. Yeah,
that's it.
so like last year for the playoffs, they did the double stage, and you really couldn't hear anything. This year it's like you really like you can't only way you hear the other team is if you almost take your headset off or if you're like paying attention, honestly. So
Literally. Those Astro A50s that they have set up there is like complete noise cancellation. You don't hear a thing. Like you can barely even hear yourself or your teammates. Like you literally have to just like turn the mix amp to just like teammates, and it is literally blocks out everything. Like I watched the stream back, I'm hearing players that were playing against saying certain things. I'm like, damn, I wish I would have heard them say that because the mics are just so like noise cancellated. Like I just wish like you literally will not hear the people you're sitting across from yelling and saying
Oh,
crazy.
even the opponent on your stage,
No,
crazy.
you won't hear
oh
a
yeah,
thing
you can't.
unless you pull one ear off like this to
Yeah,
chat with them. You're not going to hear nothing.
Is that
that's crazy.
affecting the banter? We were always known for having like the best banter in esports. I would say. Are the chirps getting less reactive?
Um, I chat a little bit, so I mean, I like to stand up and make eye contact, so it's like trying to make that eye contact with them, so trying to make
Put the
sure they
fear in
hear
them.
me. Yeah, trying to make sure they hear me. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it just depends. Like for the most part, if it's something you don't want to hear, you just ignore it. Most guys, if you look at them, like you look over, you just staring at them, they eventually look at you like, huh, huh, like and then you like you say, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
whatever you gotta say.
when you put the pressure on. Yeah, that's one of the things I really liked about the league back in the day was just like being face to face on the cake top stage. So I'm glad they kind of brought it back. They doubled it up a little bit. I still await the day when all your competitions will be in person. I still think that is the best personally, so everybody gets the good stage
Yeah,
experience. But I'm glad it's
can't
kind of
wait.
on the right track. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like heading in the right direction.
Do
I
you guys
can't
Man,
wait.
we're
feel a
really dating
latency
ourselves here, Shane.
difference?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
huge
Do you guys feel a
difference.
latency difference between like online
That's
versus on
the
stages? Yeah.
biggest thing for me that I really love about LAN event. Like, yeah, cool. Like, see the people you're playing, be able to chat back and forth, whatever. Like, I don't really care about that. I'm out there. I was so excited. I was so frustrated. It was only a best of one because that game felt so good. It was like no latency at all. Like everything felt perfect. Everything felt great. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a huge difference and definitely has an impact for sure on even playing some of these play-ins, even playing some of these play-in tourneys. I could definitely feel a difference playing out here in Toronto and when we were in Indiana, like scrimming other Indiana teams. Like it still kind of feels a lot better than playing back home out here in Toronto. But obviously, if I had to choose one, it would definitely be to. I wouldn't want to be at one of those teams in Indiana. So I'm super glad that the org stayed out here in Toronto, regardless of the latency. It's still playable. Plus the living, plus the city. It is just like you can't ask for a better spot to be.
Yeah, that's a good segue. We like to keep it a buck here. Play it straight and give people honest takes.
Oh
So,
yeah,
what's it like for
oh,
the
yeah.
teams that are living in the central hub?
Hey,
Man,
I talked to. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead now. Go ahead.
I talked to some guys. Some guys don't like it. Like, they don't like the city, Indiana. But it's like it's convenient. Like you there, you ain't got to take the long flights. Some teams will have to take multiple flights. Like get there. But yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't have liked to be there. But some guys also like it because like they're around everybody. So you can like they can interact with somebody every day. Whereas like being in like a new city, like you don't really know many people and some guys not people like a people person. So like like they like some guys like it, some guys don't. Me personally, I like being out here in Toronto, being away, with fresh sense like be able to just go back and not if like say we lose, like go home and just not see nobody. I don't want to go back and have to go through like a lobby or anything. Just go home, get
The walk of
my
Just get to
mind
shame.
right.
decompress.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Oh man,
terrible.
the walk of shame was hilarious in season 1 and 2 because we everybody stayed at like the same hotel. So after games, like you kind of get back. And you obviously have the people who won, the people who lost. Man, I seen some heartbreak in that lobby, man. Some definitely some old untold stories. Some of the stuff I seen with some anger, but it was definitely.
Oh yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I understand you gotta get
This year we
separated a little
had
bit.
we had one of those like it's terrible feeling. Like you lose. had to go back. Now everybody standing in the lobby. Like it was like that last year for the playoffs too. It was like guys just standing in the lobby. You go back, you just see people standing in the lobby. You first, your next flight out the next day. So you're going through, and for some reason everybody up bright and early sitting in the lobby, and they just watching you carry your bags. I don't even want to look at nobody. I'm head down, like man, I can't believe this. It's definitely terrible. Sure.
Yep.
Is it perpetuating the gossip mill? I know like a lot of teams kind of like were formed or trades almost, were developed and teams, broke up in that hotel lobby because, you're able to talk to people in person in ways where there's no receipts and stuff like that. Do you think like the hub is creating more like conversation between teams and players?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Guys knew. Guys knew about the 630 and Reezy trade before we even played. Like he played the whole tournament on that team, and they were saying he was traded then. So yeah, like
So,
definitely.
so even going on that run into the finals, Reezy knew he was being traded right after that.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
oh
Yes.
yeah,
For a
oh yeah,
fact.
raw uncut. Exactly what we
Wow.
yeah. Like we heard it. Like we like oh he traded, and they
Well,
beat
for
us.
for the long-term Uprising fans, we'll go back season 2 when we were in Vegas. That's exactly what happened. I did a trade for Trey for Jerry, a sick one for Jerry, or for sorry, all hell Trey on the flight to Vegas, and we both decided we would let the teams play out and we would tell them afterwards. And sure enough, I don't know there was that league leak that was just getting everything, and all of a sudden Josiah Cohen, who wasn't with the Warriors at that time, he was like a beat reporter. He called me up. He's like, "Hey, what can you tell me about this trade for Jerry?" And I was like, "You got to be kidding me! We play in an hour." And then next thing, my phone starts getting blown up. I'm at breakfast with my girl, and I'm just saying like, the trade is out. The trade is out. And so now and luckily we were there with Northcote because it created like one of the most dramatic episodes of Northcote that we ever made. But we had to like literally go into the room and figure out, an hour before we played whether we were going to play with Trey or not, given that he knew he was being traded afterwards. The nice thing was at the time those tournaments had no bearing on playoffs. It was just prize money. So there was this notion that hey, we could compete for money and it wouldn't actually affect standing. So from a competitive integrity perspective, we felt pretty good about it. But that was like a complicated thing to deal with. I can only imagine right now with that having actual playoff implications, how hard it would be to kind of make that judgment call. But you only have 5 guys, right? We had 6 back then, so we could have actually swapped someone in for Trey. So that's
Yeah.
crazy. I didn't know that was out.
Oh yeah, it was. It's like other like trade speculation being talked about. Like, everybody's just down in the lobby gossiping, talking, seeing what people think. They even giving out knowledge, like information on their own team. So it's like it's crazy. Like you'll see some crazy stuff in this league. Like these dudes. Like it's definitely crazy.
Always, right? Always. Fanta, you mentioned it was a best of one in that tournament. I mean, you guys were looking real good heading into that tournament. It was fun watching. And then, you get one best of one, and it was against the Sixers, and they end up going on to the finals. And like you guys looked good for most of that game too. So that must have been disappointing. I know I remember when I heard that it was going to be best of one, I really kind of pushed back and sent some messages saying like you need to make these tournaments BO3. But what do you think happened in that game? Because I mean, you guys looked like you could have won that game too.
I mean, I feel like it's nothing but just a bunch of failed opportunities to take off. They were nervous off rip. They're making bad passes, going up with bad things, like being super fidgety and antsy. And we got the stops on them. And I feel like, obviously, I always hold myself to I take a lot. I feel like I at least hold myself to that standard. So I feel like, oh, I should have did this. I should have did that because I'm the PG. I have the ball 70% of the time. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it was a lot of failed opportunities to completely take off and get that huge lead that we should have had while they were still shaky and nervous and blah, blah, blah. And we didn't do that. So then once they got some momentum going, now they're wild up. Now they're yelling at their seats and they have a little bit of a lead. So they're comfortable. Now they're like what people call front running, making plays they wouldn't usually make if they were in a 2-point game, things like that. And yeah, that's just how that happened. I feel like we could have did the same thing to them. Didn't execute correctly, but yeah, like you said, it's a best of one. Anything can happen. I think we play that game again. 9 times out of 10, we win. We play best of 3. I think we win. So it's definitely tough. But I talked to Sportstein about it, or Harris. He basically told me it's kind of just like the energy, like those upsets that can happen. You know what I mean? When a weaker team just beats a team that they would never beat in a series, but they beat them in that best of one. It's what keeps it a little bit entertaining in that first elimination round. Like you saw the Mavs knock out the Jazz first round. I don't think that happens in a series. So,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like just huge upsets like that, I feel like it does keep the league exciting. So I could understand what he was saying when he was explaining that to me. So it's obviously frustrating as a player flying across the country to play a 10-minute game. You know what I mean? And then it just being over if you lose. But like it's for the health of the league. So I 100% understand it. And next time we just have to be better and win.
Yeah, you
Damn,
don't have to say that. It should be a BO3.
I like Fanta's mindset, bro. Where was this kid last year? What's going on?
Undrafted.
It's a good pickup. I like this kid.
Fanta's, he's like known as like a stage god, dribble god, and with the league shifting to 3v3 this year, I think certainly that became part of what we were excited about when we were looking at the draft board. Yeah, and it's a shame because again, like you guys had all that momentum in fives and things were gelling. I mean, I'm in the group chat, I can see what's going on. Boot camp was a little rough, but it always is, right? And that's what I was trying to tell you guys. Like, give it time. Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to work through the kinks, and then you had all this momentum, and then it's a BO1, and you lose to the eventual finalists, and then you don't get to play fives again. Right, and now all of a sudden it's switching to 3v3, and it's unfortunate because I feel like the team had a lot of momentum, and then obviously this qualification round for threes, you guys didn't make it into the tournament, but same thing, it like looked like you should be that team, right? And I know you made a roster change after the first set of games, and you guys are actually looking pretty good, and you had to play a couple tough teams from the open qualifier.
But we got the toughest teams.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like it just feels like, I don't think that the on paper results actually tell the full story right now as someone, maybe I'm a little biased, but as someone who's kind of watching with a pretty keen eye. What can you say about 3v3? What's your thoughts so far on the 3v3 structure?
For my biggest thing with that is I take a lot of responsibility and like beat myself up so much, regardless of like the fact that they literally threw us into a hell bracket. I'm not even sure like how Dre and them ended up in our bracket because they're literally on the other side of the East thing. Like they should be nowhere near us. But I mean, I'm not complaining. I feel like we had a bunch of winnable games. Like I said, me as a PG, especially in 3v3, I have the ball not even 70% of the time. Now I have it 90% of the time. So it really comes down to me executing and just doing the little things. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of it really just has a lot to do. Like I did a lot of self-reflecting and watched it back like a couple times last night. And I genuinely think that I just need to find like my sense of comfortability. You know what I mean? Like to play like me. I feel like a lot of people watching me that know me in the past or even just my friends are calling me up after the game like, what are you doing out there? Why are you dribbling like that? Like why are you moving like that? Why are you not shooting the stuff you usually like? I just feel like maybe a little bit of nerve still. Obviously I'm a rookie, it's my first year. Obviously there's a lot of people in the chat looking forward to every time I play, so maybe I don't even think it's the nerves are getting to me, but I really just need to find my sense of like me, and I feel like this team will genuinely come together once they're like point guard is 100% comfortable and is like doing what he got drafted for. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, is just kind of finding my own pacing, finding my own balance, like not what's right on paper, what's right for this person or what looks good, because I feel myself doing a lot of copying of what other players are doing in the league, but I feel like I really need to just buckle down and find what works best for me. So with this off time where other teams are playing in India, that's what I'm going to be focusing in on. It's just 3v3, etc., like 5v5, all that, just focusing on myself and finding my own pacing and how I want to play.
Well, man, the season is young. I know it probably feels like you guys have been there forever already, but in the grand scheme of sports or professional gaming, I mean, you're a rookie, and it's literally the beginning. So, stay focused, keep it locked. I have
another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil.
For both, I mean, it's really for both of you. Like, what is the preferred method of play? 5v5 or 3v3?
5v5.
5?
I prefer whichever one I can win the most money in.
Okay.
Whichever one.
You got a couple seasons under your belt, so
yeah, that's honestly. Yeah, whichever one produces the most money and most wins.
All right.
That's the one I prefer.
That's a simple way of looking at it. And Saint, for you, I mean, coming off of a really good T-Wolves team, and we certainly felt like one of the key pieces of that team. I know when we were scrimmaging against you last year, really felt like you might be the best guy on the court. No disrespect to Bear and the guys, but to not be retained. I mean, we were excited. We traded up to bring you into the Raptors, and from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, I mean, you're delivering on all fronts, in and out of games. So how does that feel? Like, do you feel like your game is really kind of clicking this year?
I always feel like I can get better. Every year, every season I had in the league. My first year was pretty solid. Second year I got better, was even better. Was my best season leading up to this point. This year I still feel like it's some points I can improve on. Like I try to work on different things in the off season too to make sure I'm better at by the time the season comes. That's mainly what I try to focus on in the off season. But this year I feel like I'm doing all right. I'm like pretty solid, but I feel like I can be better, and I will be better 100% going forward to produce us wins. Because no matter what I'm doing, if we not winning, it's something I could be doing better than be working on. So that's how I look at it. This year, like last year, I was like I was winning, so I could say I was doing better. This year, I'm not winning, so it's something I'm doing wrong where I need to just be able to bring more wins to the table for the team.
It's a mature way of looking at it. Guys, we like hot takes around here. What's your? Let's start with Fanta. Fanta, what's your hottest take right now on the season?
Oh, how hot are we getting?
All the
Light
way.
it up.
We want to go
All
viral.
right. All right. My hottest take, what like the most blunt, honest, like hottest take I could possibly give you that I really don't know if I should be saying.
Okay, well,
This has to
damn it.
be
1 degree cooler then.
okay. I would just say it was a very tough year, like very interesting year for them to start 3v3 on, considering the fact of like the points they're trying to reach and the goals they're trying to achieve with it. I feel like I like the idea. I love it. I hope they keep it up next year and everything gets better in 3v3 next year. But just for like a little like knowledge going from like a viewer, from like a streamer, like somebody who literally streams 3v3 for a living coming into this year, 3v3, the community, the atmosphere of it is at an all-time low. It's not very like good or have a huge skill gap at the moment. So that's why a lot of when you look at 3v3 and you look at viewership, you look at Twitch, all of that is on current gen still because next gen is just a very bad 3v3 like based game. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's playable. No excuses. Like there's 100%. We should still be winning, etc. I feel like we're all playing the same game. I should be playing it better than the next man. But my hottest take, like to really get things rolling, would just be. I genuinely think next gen 3v3 is just god awful. Like it's just a bunch of whites dropping, a bunch of random plugs, man, it full bars, and then the next team comes down and hits a white. Like it's just so like fluky and like anything can happen. It just doesn't feel like the better team wins like the majority of the time. It's more of just like who gets momentum and who runs with it. Like you know what I mean? So that would have to be my hottest take on what I've felt this season.
So strategically, you like the idea of 3v3 for the 2K League. It just was an
for sure.
unfortunate year for it to be
Yeah.
introduced.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like it too. Strategically, I was super aligned. I'm disappointed to see the timeline and how much people kind of aren't embracing it in the league because I thought it was a smart pivot. Given how big your audience and other stage streamers' audiences are, it felt like a good lever to pull to try to grow the 2K League fan base.
Yeah, it was just like I said, it's just all about timing. You know what I mean? If they would have did this last year, people would have been so excited. Like their 1 3v3 tournament, I also participated in it. I won the fan bracket to qualify to play in the league tournament, won 2 rounds in the league tournament and lost. But that's like literally like that tournament was so fun. Annoying Lie, all of them were playing in it. They ended up winning it, Annoying and Lie's team. And you see, it was just so hyped. Like everybody was in love with it because 3v3 community was still peak. So the entire community are watching their favorite streamers like compete in this, and it's super exciting. It's just lacking the community support right now just because 3v3 itself, like next gen 3v3, is not fawned upon. People really do not enjoy watching it. You know what I mean? for all the reasons that I just named. So, yeah, that's all that's all that's going on right now. I feel
a
like
good
people
year for
embrace
you
it next
personally
year.
then to find yourself into the NBA 2K League if it really wasn't happening on 3v3. And Saint, what's
Oh
your
yeah.
hottest take?
Oh, perfect.
My
Perfect.
hot
Yeah.
take. Oh, they just released the brackets for the turn. Um, got us winning the turn. My hot take.
I like that hot
Got
take.
first round exit. First round exit in the tip off. We didn't make the tournament. The in person play for 3-on-3. Uh, brackets released. A couple teams that's in our bracket actually made the 3-on-3 tournament. Give us a little extra time to prepare and kind of get back right, get back everything flowing. Um, I got us winning it all. I feel like we should come out of I feel like we should come out of our bracket in the play in once we get there in person this time. Feel like we gonna I believe in us. We gonna figure it out and we're gonna get it right in person and get us.
I actually
I
love
love
that
that.
take because it'll be an easy callback for episode 7, right? So it could be we
Yeah.
can kind of
Yeah,
review. Like, all
exactly.
right,
We
well,
can
how
expose
did
them.
this go? How did this take age? You know what I'm
How
saying?
did
So
this
we'll
age?
find out.
Yeah. Well, look, it's rarely the team that's hottest out of the gate that end up doing the best by the end, right? It's an iterative process. So,
Yeah.
I know it feels like a grind, and the day-to-day emotions can get a hold of you when you're losing. I try to tell everyone, like, you work so hard to get in the 2K League, you think your dream is just to get in the 2K League, and most players are going to have a pretty negative experience just on the fact that they're going to lose, and it's tough. So you got to be able to compartmentalize those losses. Just enjoy the experience for what it is, and know that if you keep your emotions intact, that's going to give your team the best chance to actually find its groove by the end. And all the money's at the end, so you want to really find your rhythm, at the end of it. Do you guys hear that? That's my doorbell.
No.
That's my
Oh,
doorbell. Once. Yep. Thank you.
I think his Uber Eats guy
That's
here before
the
mine. As per usual.
cue. Lunch has
There it
arrived.
is.
I
Oh
gotta
yeah.
go eat because I'm starving. So that's gonna wrap us up. Any last thoughts before we close out the pod today?
I look forward to speaking back with y'all. Hopefully my take don't come back and bite me, but I'm confident with it. I feel like we can make something happen with what we got heading forward.
All right, guys. I know
oh
you're
yeah.
busy. Thanks for taking the time, Fanta. Last
Thank you
thoughts.
so much. Yeah, thank you for. My last thoughts, maybe to just add on to what you said. That is 100%. Like, as a rookie coming in, like knowing that, like, oh, you're trying to make the league, undrafted, make the league. That mental aspect, it's real. So for the people trying to make it, people who are going to try to make it, just know, like, it's really like tough mentally, especially when you're such a competitive person. You really need to learn how to lose, and it really will like humble you and mature you as a person. So that's basically all I have to say. I appreciate you for having me. Super excited to, like I said, come back on Saints Hot Take, and hopefully it comes true. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, 100%, man. We definitely look forward to revisiting that, and best of luck in the remainder of the season. Fanta, Saint, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. This was a great pod for sure. Shane as well, my amazing co-host. But yeah, that'll wrap it for episode 6 of the Raptors 2K podcast. Again, shout outs to Uber Eats for sponsoring this. We can't wait to see you on the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and take care.
peace.
Y'all have a good day. Hey Shane, let me know how that food tastes over there, man. I'm big food guy.
I'll be sure to.